Bit of an interesting day. Bitcoin. Do you remember when NASDAQ was tanking to the downside and Bitcoin was rising? And we started seeing posts on X saying the decoupling has begun. Fundamentally, there's a decoupling today, but I'm not seeing those posts. Bitcoin's not really kicking it with the stock market. Now, I've said this before. Bitcoin gives us a clue about the sentiment to risk. It's a far more riskier asset in comparison to the NASDAQ because the NASDAQ is made up of tech stocks. Bitcoin is made up of Bitcoin, and there's nothing behind it as such. It's just who's holding it and who's selling it. There's a supply and that's it. What does it all mean, ladies and gentlemen? Well, surely the government reopening should be good news for Bitcoin. But it's about resilience. Investors are now like, nah, I'm not interested in Bitcoin. We're interested in the stock market. NASDAQ has been rising today. It's been a treacherous day for the NASDAQ. Horrible. And just looking at the way the markets are operating, nothing's making sense. It really isn't. When NASDAQ was when NASDAQ was dropping, the VIX was negative, trading negative. Then there was an instance where the VIX was trading positive and the S&P was up. So the S&P finished up today, right? 0.31%. The NASDAQ finished, nearly finishing, minus 0.16. Since when does the NASDAQ ever not trade just as good as the S&P? I don't know. Tina, you look like an adult egg. Okay. Tino, the bearish Tino. Okay, then if I was bearish yesterday, what are we today? My bearish nature was very well taken, to be honest with you. Today, the Platinum members ripped it apart. Here was our projection for Bitcoin. So we anticipated a little bit of a retrace, continuation to the downside to clear out the psychological ranges. Bitcoin, nearly on its way, but our entry was pretty decent. Nice little play right there. Going into Ethereum. Wanted Ethereum to try and take an entry. 3,560. And Ethereum says, yes, please. So it was slow movement, but they came back down to the psychological ranges. All right. And then Solana kind of got smacked today. 163.83. And boy, 163.83. There's your entry region. Rolled down to the psychological ranges. This is the recovery of the vectors, ladies and gentlemen. And Bitcoin is on its warpath. It's come back down to the psychological zones, which is a very significant point. Now, everyone just thinks that Bitcoin is just going to take a shoe back to the downside. We are done. But there are things that are starting to come into play. The NASDAQ rising on very, very low volume. That's no good. And it's not good, given that NASDAQ today has actually made this move up with 0 vector candles on the smaller time frames. You've got this stupid little, look at this, nothing at all. And there was an instance in the book where there was barely any bids. Now, I wanted to try and exploit some options today on the NASDAQ, and I couldn't. And it's just got very frustrating because when they made the recovery back up, I was looking for some shorts to buy some puts. I was like, okay, I'll wait for this to happen. And then they started to climb, and then it just wouldn't flipping stop. Just kept going up and up and up. And I was like, come on, give me something. And the VIX was positive, ladies and gentlemen. The VIX ended up being positive, and the NASDAQ with price action to the upside didn't make sense. Gold. I wanted to see gold today make a move up to then try and come down. And it did do that, but then it came straight back up, telling you that investors are somewhat a little bit shaken by things. Wanted to see gold from that range to come down. I didn't expect it to come down. I wanted to see it come down to around 4,087 was one of the targets, and we came into 4,096. So again, that was okay, but they just come down to only bring it straight back up. And Trump earlier on said that, you know, the US government, they're going to come to a vote and it's going to end up being positive. The market is excited about the opening of the US government, but it's not really giving us the excitement because the volume is not there. That's where it gets really interesting. Yeah. But overall, Platinum members, they made a ton of money today, I believe. So if you're interested in that, check that out. It's pinned to the top of the chat and you get daily setups like this every single day. All right. Cool. Mad love and respect for that. Now, there is no discount. No, that's true. That is discount. It is. No, there is a discount. This is good. We want to see a discount for Bitcoin. You want a cheaper Bitcoin. Of course you do. Going into the daily time frame to put it into perspective for you, Bitcoin is just invalidating the 5 and 13 EMA. And it looks like it's on that trajectory to keep marking lower. BlackRock today said there he thinks that altcoin, well, BlackRock thinks that altcoin ETFs are totally worthless. I mean, if your altcoin ETF is worthless, does it mean you should hold altcoins? What are your thoughts on that? If they're saying that ETF, altcoin ETF are worthless, then are you holding an altcoin? Because if you ain't going to buy the altcoin, you're certainly not going to buy the ETF. Makes you think, doesn't it? One has to be wary going far down the table with hundreds of thousands of crypto assets today. The vast majority of those are or will be totally worthless. That includes Ripple and Solana. That's a bit dead. But they're happy with Ethereum. Ultimately, what is it? Volume. That's why they care about Bitcoin and Ethereum, because it's just volume. You know? That's a bit of an interesting one. And I saw that, I was like, okay. Yeah, so no real activity on the ETF itself. Outflows, inflows, not really seeing anything on the inflows. Nothing. So that could pretty much put things into perspective for us. Going into insiders selling, seeing a lot of selling happening today. Going into the close as well. So we've had some really interesting sales coming into play. But these guys are always buying and selling anyway. It doesn't even matter. Price goes up when they're selling, and price goes down when they're selling. Doesn't even make sense. But anyways, Tina, have you seen the amount of offers on the NQ today? I have seen the amount of offers. It's actually wild. That just tells me that everyone is rushing to sell. I mean, if we just go over to NVIDIA was like, I mean, look, this is how you know the market is pretty interesting. I mean, NVIDIA's done nothing today. Really, it hasn't done anything. But I will give you some flavor. If you actually pay for the subscription for TradingView, I strongly recommend that you create an index. Right? Take the micros, take the NASDAQ micros. Okay. Sorry. The micros. Take the S&P minis and the Dow. Okay. And just take those ticker symbols, MNQ, and then ES, and then YM. Put them together and you've got yourself an index. Okay. So how all those assets are performing. Look at this behavior here. Now I'm going to bring you NASDAQ. So it kind of gives you a little bit of an insight into what's actually holding out well. Yeah. It's obvious that the Dow itself and the S&P were far more superior in their price action in comparison to the NASDAQ. I mean, if you look at S&P, look at that. Did so much more better than what NASDAQ did. If you look at the range that NASDAQ took, you know? So when you actually have that, gives you a bit of an insight into what's really dominating and what's holding out, which would then explain why this happened, because there was underlying support in Dow and, of course, the S&P. So it means that big caps are doing okay. What does that mean? Well, it means investors are doing what? Coming out of the tech market? Maybe. Altcoins were doing just fine before these guys stuck their nose in crypto. What do you want me to say to you about that, my bro? Before everyone got in, before Wall Street got into cryptocurrency, you had your 4-year cycle, you had your rainbow charts, you had your You had your altcoin season, you had your Bitcoin season. Yeah. Now it's just BlackRock ETF, Michael Saylor, treasuries of Bitcoin. You think it was going to go up. I mean, you can't complain, man. You can't complain. Bitcoin is up 48,000%. And Ethereum is up nearly 160 or 200,000% or something like that. Or whatever it was. Tom Lee actually said it. Any questions? Yeah, it's just, look, reckon I could use that as an index kind of futures equivalent of strength chart. That's true. Yeah, that's what you use. That's what I use it for. I use it for that. I use this as an index to tell me what's going on. Who's got the strength? Is it the Dow? Is it the S&P? Is it NASDAQ? Where's the money going? Because the Dow's around 40,000-ish, okay? And then you've got the S&P, which is around 6,000. And you've got the NASDAQ around 25, all right? So that's why it gives you that crazy price up there. They didn't stick their nose in crypto. Crypto begged for the wolf in sheep's clothes to come in. Now the wolf has revealed himself. Yes. The wolf has come in and cleaned up cryptocurrency with this little black rock. And you've all been succumbed to the... I don't even want to say it. But anyways... Now it's rainbow season. I think you've kind of gathered that in the evenings, guys. It's just a chill, you know, just giving you anything about price action. Just give me some questions, you know, just fire them out. I won't keep this live too long. It's 11 minutes now. The live stream earlier on was pretty short and sweet, so hope you enjoyed that. Thumbnails, mad love to the guys in the Discord. Make sure you do join the Discord. Go to the Traders Reality website, ladies and gentlemen. Just do it. Yeah, there you go. What's he doing there? There you go. Yeah. So get to the website, go on there, join the Discord, click that button, watch this video. We've got a template for the hybrid system. Yep, got the template. And of course, you want trade setups, then go to the join bit, become a platinum member. And then that's where you get all of the fun and games and the brain of the hybrid. When we talk about the vector recovery and why did we expect Bitcoin to come down today when everyone was like, yeah, man, Bitcoin to the moon, hold on, don't be stupid, don't sell and all that. I'm losing my mind. Tell us more about gold, he says. What do you want me to tell you? When your US government reopens, you're going to get data. And when your data comes out and says that the labor market is pants, then gold's going up. That's it. Gold went up. Sorry, gold went down. Euro went up. Then gold went up and then euro came down. What's going on in this? That's when you know positively correlated assets. When they're not doing that correlation thing, that's when things are starting to get a little bit tricky. You know? You spit your game with your girl and you're like, you know, take her out, you wine and dine, and, you know, at the end of the night, it's how's your father kind of thing. But when you get to that point, she's like, anyways, let's, can you just take you know, clean my fish bowl out and I'll see you in a bit. She closes the door, she fucks off. You're like, hold on a second. You know, it's the positive correlation was there. You know, I took her out and wined and, you know, spent a bit of cash on her. We had a laugh and a joke. And, you know, that's usually like when couples do things. That's, you know, they enjoy themselves and then they enjoy themselves more. And that's not what's happening, man. My analogy is shit, but I'm saying to you, man, this market is dog shit. It really is. NASDAQ going down, the VIX is going down. So what are those hedgers doing? What are they doing? Doesn't make sense. NASDAQ goes up, the VIX goes up. It's the other way round. Hmm. Tino, do you think altcoins could make a recovery in the future, or are we done with them? Look, look. This is what your November should look like. Should be green. What day is it today? It's the 11th. 0.08% return. That's what we should be getting today. Oh, it's going up now. Dow's traded positively. Nasdaq's traded negatively. S&P's traded positively. And your VIX is trading positively. The short futures VIX is going up. Obviously, because when the VIX goes down, this goes up. But the futures markets, like, they shot up pretty well. They don't want the bonds. What I mean, it doesn't make sense, man. If the 10-year futures are up, but what the fuck's the 10-year bond market doing? I've dedicated the majority of my youth understanding the dynamics of this goes up, this goes down. But what's going on with the actual seesaw is it's a little bit fucked, right? It's not doing the seesaw. It's just soaring, and it's just soaring, doing wild things. It blows my brain. Now we have to wait for an orange man to speak to determine whether our day is going to be up or down. And what is that? Listen, with your altcoins, okay, are you in it for the tech? If you are, hold on to them. If you're not and you want to make money, sell them. Get rid. All right? That's what I say. Not financial advice. It's common sense. If your altcoin has stayed at a 0.001% price point, ask yourself why it's not higher than that. Forget what it's done. You're not in your crypto season anymore, ladies and gentlemen. You've got Wall Street season. And they like the color of money. That means when your altcoins pump, take something off the table because good old BlackRock says it. There's hundreds and thousands of them. And they're all going to be worthless anyway. That right there is just told Wall Street, don't play alts. And then all of a sudden, we then hear about BlackRock picking up a shit ton of Solana ETF. But Solana's got a real good purpose behind it. It's a big chain, all right? And so does Ethereum. So there's really crypto. You know what? When I got into cryptocurrency, when I first heard about it, it was Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. That's all we had. And Link. Link. Linkcoin, whatever it was, right? Litecoin, Link. Yeah, it was very minimal. And that's where all the money went. And all these other projects came along, and then it created this culture, like, oh, this coin, and this coin, and this coin. And then, yeah, let's put all our money into XRP, well, into Cadena, like Cardano. Where's my ADA guy? I think the market maker is using AI to drive markets to a point to make sure everyone is effed but themselves and nothing makes sense. I miss the times where they only use stupid grid bots. Listen, the crazy thing about the marketplace is this, okay? Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. They're still doing the same thing. Still the same thing, ladies and gentlemen. They will buy, they will sell, and that doesn't change, right? Because there's two things that don't change, and that is emotions. You're going to have fear, you're going to have greed, all right? And as long as you've got those two emotions, then the business is just going to continue doing its thing. It really is. We've got another madness coming along with the Bank of Japan every single flipping day saying we're going to increase our interest rates. Yes, we are. Inflation is causing a little bit of a problem. Wage inflation is starting to go up. And as long as we stay in line with our policies, then we should be increasing our interest rates. They don't say it, but they're like, we're interested in a hike and just flipping increase the rate so the dollar can get smacked and the stock market can come down because they're all borrowing money. And they're using yen, converting it to dollars, and then instead of leaving it in dollars, they're taking it and then going into the stock market and filling it. Second, they increase that interest rate, ladies and gentlemen, definitely bottoms up. Most definitely. I am not doom and gloom. I'm just telling you the fundamentals. We haven't had a correction in a long time. We don't correct, right? There's expansionary and then there's contractionary. We haven't had a contraction, a fundamental contraction. We haven't had a recession. The recession is just out the window, but your debt is just going. And that just tells us that fear is here to stay. That's the truth. Fear is here to stay. You heard what's going on in the Eurozone, what they're trying to do with cryptocurrency now. No one's allowed to have over $20,000 in USDT, right? You've got to basically tell them exactly what you're doing with your crypto, all right? If you want to screw someone with crypto, you've got to say to them, I plan on screwing this person with this amount of crypto. Do you mind? I'm going to start my own coin. I'm going to do a rug pull. Do you mind? What is going on? Tino, 8% of the markets are run by computers nowadays. It doesn't matter whether it's run by computers or not. Fundamentally, it goes up, it goes down. And we fight computers. That's what we're doing. We're fighting. See, it's actually run by people. But what people do is this. They say, okay, we got $100 billion. Here's my API. Connect. Thank you very much. What algo are you running today? First come, first serve? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, $100 billion goes in there and the algorithm's like, woo, let's just start putting money over here, split it into thousands of orders, and every time price appreciates by a couple of ticks and what have you, we'll chuck this order in at the top side of the book or at the bottom side of the book, and then we'll just see how it gets filled. Awesome. All right, so it's humans bringing the money. And the algos that are programmed by humans have an objective. Fill and then offer. That's all it is. We can exploit that. Yeah, I heard about the hedge funds blowing up. How long do you see Circle going? It is running a circle on us. It really is. It is. It's. Please go and find someone on X that's talking about the decoupling in a positive way. Because you know what, ladies and gentlemen? You really do want crypto to decouple from Wall Street. I think there's enough people playing cryptocurrency now. We can get a market cap to about 5-6 trillion. Surely we can. Because as long as BlackRock's retaining that Bitcoin in the ETF, there's the possibility that Wall Street mentality can get exercised at any moment. They will not think twice to dump 200,000 Bitcoin. Don't think they can't, because they can. They really can. Client says, sell it. And if you've got thousands of clients saying, sell it, sell it, sell it, BlackRock's not going to say no now, is it? No. That's why it manages $12 trillion worth of assets. So, Tito, do you think Bitcoin could surpass its all-time high this year in the near future? What about ETH? I want to give you the realistic answer, but then I also want to give you the YouTube answer. So, which one do you want, ladies and gentlemen? The YouTube answer or the realistic answer? Off you go. I'll take a sip of the cup of chai. Chai. Come on. Which one do you want? Do you want the YouTube answer or do you want the realistic answer? Both, please. Okay. Do you want the real answer? Or do you want the YouTube answer? Come on. I need to see it. We need a poll. We need a poll. That's what we need, ladies and gentlemen. We need a poll. Okay, here we go. Which one? We're going to do this. Which one? Realistic. Hold on. Realistic. Or YouTube? YouTube answer. Fucking YouTube answer. Is that a thing? Come on. Don't even say it. He says he knows what's coming. He knows exactly what's coming. Right. So what we're going to do is this. Okay. That's bollocks. 138 votes and 200 likes on the live stream. What's going on? Come on. Like the stream and then put your vote. Right. 85% of you want. Who's 15%? Come on. All right. The realistic answer, ladies and gentlemen, is this. You need Bitcoin to sink. It has to. There has to be a reset on sentiment. And we don't have that yet. Because right now we're on the tightrope. Whoa, is the market going to crash? No. Whoa, hold on. Maybe, but not yet. It's coming. No, it's not. Like, come on, we're printing more money. We ain't getting interest rate cuts. Awesome. US government's reopening NVIDIA. Fundamentally speaking, Bitcoin, by the logic of expansion and contraction, has not realistically, it's only had one contractionary phase. And that contraction was here. Okay? It was after it made its all-time high in November 2021, and then it just rolled over. This is the true contraction in Bitcoin. Because whatever it did, it gave it back. There is a reset. Okay? We haven't had a reset. We haven't had a reset. We haven't had a reset. If we're going to go by the logic of financial crisis, because that's what triggered the last market crash. That's what triggered it. Yeah? The logic says that Bitcoin, by law, by principle, if we're going to go on a contractionary phase in the stock market, which we will, overvaluations, the only thing that's left to be had now is the fact that the demand for AI that investors are pricing into the market right now is on the basis that all the investment that's going into AI is going to generate a return. So what is OpenAI requesting a guarantee off the US government for? Guarantee for what? What do you need the US government to guarantee you for? Who's their guarantee? $37 trillion worth of debt. Where's the guarantee on that? Well, you left that standard with gold. So where's the contractionary phase? The worst thing is last time you didn't have Wall Street tied up in Bitcoin. You didn't. You just had all these people optimistic about Bitcoin, and in the end, they wanted to get rid of it. So all your wave of Bitcoin holders that were picking it up on discount were selling up here, becoming multi-billionaires because they made so much money off it, they had to get rid of it. They were a multi-millionaire when Bitcoin hit 46,000. Then they became a billionaire when Bitcoin hit 71,000. They got out, right? But now what you've got here is the adoption of Bitcoin. But the problem that we've got is if the supply is truly the supply, surely with this amount of Bitcoin that's stacked inside of the ETF itself, would grant the idea of Bitcoin's value, its true value, going up. Surely. Remember, guys, these are funds. These are hedge fund owners. They have an obligation to the client. And if the client says get rid, they will get rid of it. Kathy Wood, she's always buying and selling stuff. All right? She's serving her clients. Okay? But too much of the supply is stacked in here. All right? And you've got Bitcoin treasuries across a number of companies. Well, they're going to want to hope that if their business goes down and they can get rid of their Bitcoin, they've got themselves a little bit of a cash, like a float. So is Bitcoin insurance? What's that? Is Bitcoin being used as an insurance? For what? Your debt's $37 trillion and the idea of fiat should be out the window with Bitcoin. But it's not. No one's retaining it. They're selling it. And whoever's selling it, it's going into people that are just going to put it elsewhere to sell to other people. It's just this continuous rotation. Volatility is what sends Bitcoin's price up. Futures markets send Bitcoin's price up, not spot. Futures markets. The expectation. What do you think ETFs are? ETFs, like you've got Palantir ETF. There's an ETF that's dedicated to Palantir, PTRA, I think it is, that says it just bases itself on the speculation and the price adjustments of Palantir. So I don't want to buy Palantir stock, but I'll just play the ETF instead. That's the problem with futures. That's what Bitcoin's like, you know? We haven't had a euphoric stage of the cycle yet. Hold on. Wait there. Wait there. Just wait there, ladies and gentlemen. Because when you talk about euphorics, all right, let's just break this down. I'm just going to log into something right now. We're going to go into the Glass node, okay? Now, the Glass node itself, where are we at? Here we go. Here we are. So, why does it do this to me all the time? Oh, how do I expand this bad boy out? It's not Bitcoin fear and greed. I need net unrealized losses and gains. Where are you? Here she is. Okay, cool. Watch this. So, this is where we haven't hit the euphoric stage, or we haven't had euphoria yet in Bitcoin. When Bitcoin hit when Bitcoin hit just under 20,000, right? Can't even get my there you go. Just under 20,000. You see that little blue thing at the top up there? This little blue thing? That was when Bitcoin holders, the unrealized profit and losses of Bitcoin holders, they were at a euphoric stage, right? Look down below, you got the key here. When it's pink, it's capitulation. When it's hope and price is rising, it means, well, when price is rising and it's orange, it means hope, okay? But when price is dropping and it's orange, it means it's fear. When price is rising and the line is dark brownish, it's optimism. When it's dropping, it means it's anxiety, right? When it's going down and it's green, it's belief, right? Sorry, when it's going up, it's green, it means belief. When it's going down and it's green, it's denial, okay? When it's going up and it's blue, it's euphoria. When it's going down and it's blue, it's greed, okay? Bit confusing, but look at the chart. Where have we had euphoric points in Bitcoin? Euphoric points in Bitcoin was at 20,000 because there was a shit ton of people holding a lot of Bitcoin and they got excited about it during those times. That's where the euphoria hits. We went to 40,000. We went to 50,000. We went to 69,000. We went to 70. We went to 125,000, ladies and gentlemen. Where is the euphoric states? Which means that there's a shit ton of people that don't hold a lot of Bitcoin. That's what that is. The net unrealized profit and losses say that the profits that certain people are holding to the sum of X amount and massive amounts ain't nothing, ladies and gentlemen. It's not printed once. We've never been in a euphoric point from a profit and loss realization. In other words, there is no one with lots and lots of profit. All right, give or take. We're not talking about now. We're talking about in the accumulation of time, all right? That are so euphoric with the price. I mean, that's obviously based just off this, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to say. We haven't hit euphoria yet. Does that mean we won't? Well, according to this right here, Bitcoin right now, it has been in a negative downward move. And that tells me that we've got anxiety in investors' net unrealized profit and losses in the chart. Okay. Starting to move back up a little bit now. So then that tells me that we are optimistic about Bitcoin. The fuck you got to be optimistic about, ladies and gentlemen. You're rolling over. I hope it can sustain itself. It needs to stay above 99. Otherwise, it's goodbye. Remember, Bitcoin hasn't really experienced an economic contraction, major economic contraction. It just came about just after the subprime mortgage crisis of 2007, 2008. It's not experienced anything. That was the realistic answer. Now the YouTube answer. But I'll give you both. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to the moon, man. Don't worry. Hold on to your bags. Hold on. Diamond hands, diamond balls, whatever you want to do. Okay? Just hold on. Don't sell. You'll be hating yourself. Your face will melt when you realize that if you sell. Tired of this game. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this. Anyways. 100K is the floor. That's how I know you've been rinsing off Instagram. You know, just anyone saying Bitcoin's never going to go. Listen, I am all for Bitcoin. I ain't going to be mugging myself. You know, I'm not just going to hold on to an idea because loads of other people are holding on to it. You know? I mean, there is that Chinese guy who's got an IQ of like 250, whatever it is. And he says that he sold all of his assets and converted it all into Bitcoin, right? He's either made the most brilliant decision of his life or he got his IQ test from Temu. Like it's one of them ones. Who knows? You're still early, Tina. Oh, please. Please don't. What is XRP doing? Anyways. Circle earnings tomorrow. Yes, we do have Circle earnings. Where are you? Circle earnings tomorrow. What are we expecting? So their projections last time was 644 million, and it came in at 658 million on the revenues. They are now projected to 703 million. If they don't come through with that, we've got a problem, but I have a strong belief that they will. They've gone into some major partnerships where stablecoin story has been doing pretty well. And then you've got, it's coming down to this wick. Mark my words, it's going to eat this wick. It's going to challenge. It's going to chew it up. It's going to stir fry it. It's going to embalm it. It's going to do absolutely everything. It's going to rip this wick apart. And I can't wait to witness it. All ETFs are Trojan horses. Same people tried to lobby against it in the beginning. They failed. They never wanted an alternative financial system, which they have no control over. Drink to that, my brother. We shall drink to that. XRP is going to take... Shut up. Sorry, Wisdom. I'm not having that. It's the everything bubble. The entire crypto market cap is still smaller than Nvidia's stock. That's embarrassing, isn't it? Nvidia's market cap was smaller than Bitcoin's. It was lower than Bitcoin's. Now the stock is bigger than the combined GDPs of some of these world nations, ladies and gentlemen. Do you understand? We're talking about a stock. Thoughts on Tesla? Tesla's taboo. It really is. It's one of those asset classes that, you know, given that you've got such an active, you know, CEO, well, not CEO, Elon, he's, as long as he's kicking, this thing's going to keep going, you know, but it is subject to a lot of scrutiny, a lot, but it's not just Tesla. Remember, it's more than that, you know. What are the benefits of going bold? You can do that. Right? You can be your own light bulb and you can do whatever you want. Tesla flying cars, what I mean, man. It is. No, I do not miss having hair at all. On the one hand, we are trading away from the Monday Asian session range, but on the other hand, we are on SI levels. What are your thoughts? You should know that, Mathis. You're a platinum member. You should know. I'll be telling you very shortly, my friend. Not going to lie, I faded Tino's TA today in the platinum. Just got out with my head on a long this morning. Won't happen again. You know what? Mad respect to you, bruv. Respect to you. Respect to you for admitting that. But, you know, don't get them right all the time, bro. Come on. I'm dealing with, I give you guys positively correlated assets, okay? Positively correlated assets. 6 of them, right? Today it was, not looking at euro, gold's going to go down, okay? Nasdaq's going to go up. Cryptocurrency is going to go down. How the fuck do you know when that's going to happen, bruv? You just don't. You just don't. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, mad love and respect. I've got nothing but love and respect for you all. Please forgive the explicit nature. I'm just tired. Sell your... Did I say Bitcoin then? That's not a YouTube answer. Bitcoin correction to 94,000. Oh, stop it. Don't you ever notice when I say to you when Bitcoin's price is going to go down? If I say to you, if it loses 98, it's dustbin. If you can define dustbin to a definitive price, please communicate with me. Let me know because it saves me so much time trying to work it out for myself. All right? You see this range? You see this bed? All right? Bitcoin rolls over this bed, right? And we've got a little bit of a sleeping in the basement. That basement could be nice for some. It's going to hurt a lot of people, which is shit. Pay yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. I love you all. Mad love and respect. Peace.